What's up, y'all? I'm Taylor Grant with Bellator Claims. We are here to talk about the denial of the day on the podcast. I have a freaking amazing guest who I've known for, I don't know, man, we've known each other for probably 18, 19 years. And I just want to introduce him, and I'm not going to be able to do it justice. All right. So, this is a quick synopsis of my guest, John Simmons. He's a husband of 26 years, father of two boys, 16 years in the 1st Ranger Battalion. Did I say that right?
Yeah, First Ranger Battalion.
Dude, that's awesome. And so we'll get into kind of some of the other stuff, but he got into real estate in 2006, a year after I did. 1 year. And what we're going to talk about is some of the biggest victories that he's experienced, some of the learning lessons, and really who is John Simmons outside of work. Because, a lot of the people that I have on the podcast are entrepreneurs, business owners, and that's all great. It is. It's awesome. However, the truth is we're all people behind these facades of our businesses, and that's what I really want to get into. So, John Simmons, welcome, my brother. How the heck are you?
What's up, Taylor Grant? Great to see you, man. You're looking good, too.
Thanks, brother. You
Great.
are too.
I could see you're hitting the gym, man. Are you older than me?
What's that?
I said, are you older than me? I'm just wondering. I'm sizing you up right now.
No, but trust me, when I'm your age, I'll still look better.
Yeah, that is true, my friend. Great to see you, man. Appreciate you having me on this.
Absolutely, man. Thank you so much for being on here. What I want to really talk about is something we actually spoke about right before we started. So John Simmons owns C3 Real Estate, and it is an up-and-coming real estate company that has really taken a lot of market share from some of these other companies that have been here twice as long, 3 times as long. And that speaks volumes to the testament of who John Simmons is, his business partner, Jesse Lehner, and the culture that they have built at C3 Real Estate. So, John, we had talked about something that I'll actually get to here in a second, but dude, tell us about the company that you work for, that you started, that you founded as a co-founder. Tell me a little bit more about what you guys do and what makes you different than, say, every other real estate company out there.
No, I appreciate that, Taylor, and happy to talk about it. The other co-founder of C3 is Jesse Lehner, so he and I are 50-50. That's how we structured our partnership agreement with C3 in the start of this. We founded and started C3 on December 12th, 2012. So it's easy to remember, right? 12-12-12. That was strategic in itself. We knew that we would forget just a couple of days later when our anniversary was. But we started with a local company here that had a great and solid reputation. They had good market share presence. But we did see there was a lot of items that we disagreed with, if you will, in which the only way that you could solve that is if you go to another company, found out there was no perfect companies that were out there. All right, well, let's just start our own. When you start your own thing, you could own the areas of opportunity, but you could also own the successes. We are not a perfect company either. However, we strive for perfection, and it's as good as it gets for the industry that we're in. All kinds of differentiators that make us different. I could talk for an hour about that. The biggest thing that has helped propel us, I think, is we were already heavy producers. I mean, Taylor Grant, I remember when you were a competitor, right? I'm not coming up the ladder when it comes to, we're adapting to the market, and traditional selling went away. The wholesale market was in play, and it was nothing but foreclosures and short sales, right?
Right.
And I think I'm the king of short sales, and I'm doing these podcasts, and I'm being interviewed by Style Magazine, Fort Collins Magazine, this certified distressed property export organization that's trying to educate people on short sales. And then I run into you, and I'm like, who's this dude? Who's this guy? This guy's really good. This guy's got better disclosures than what I have. And anyhow, the top production helped propel us because so many people knew us. They knew who we were as men. They knew our character, our ethics, our morals. They knew everything. So when we started our concept, there was already a natural gravitation from people saying, what is it that you guys are doing? On top of that, having storefront locations where there's heavy exposure for our realtors, for our clients, the investors, builders, buyers, sellers.
Yeah.
That's what people wanted. Go ahead, you're going to say something.
Dude, let me interject 2 things. One is, if you don't know, the viewers don't know from this podcast, is I actually have had my real estate license for 19 years. And as John was talking about, we were competitors. And then I actually went and hung my license with him because I trust him and respect him and knew that was the right thing. But talking about their offices, okay? When you walk into a C3 office, the mojo changes. Like, you walk in and you're just like, what? What? Like, where am I? Like, seriously, the first time I walked into your commercial office space in Fort Collins in Front Range Village. I walk in
Yeah.
and it's like the record kind of stops and you're just like, all right, cool. This is the right place to be, man. There's a vibe, bro. There's a vibe. And that mojo goes a long way for I think the people that work for you, work with you, but also the clients that walk into that building. It is
Right.
something different. Like I walked into other offices, other real estate offices, and it's like there's a ghost that died back in the back or something. You're just like, what is this weird feeling? Walk into a C3 office, completely different, brother. So I give you a lot of
No,
kudos for
I
that.
appreciate that. And if people are wondering what the three C's are, right? Because
Yeah.
it's C3 Real Estate Solutions. The top three C's that we came up with are character, culture is number two, right? And then it's
Yeah.
commitment,
Yeah.
right? So we're always focused on that company culture. And I would encourage anybody listening to this podcast, if you swing by a C3 office, walk in.
Yeah.
Secret shop me. Tell Taylor what it was like. Tell me what it's like so we can figure out how to make it better. But I'm willing to bet that you'll experience the same thing that Taylor was just talking about.
Dude, so actually what just came to mind is you guys are like the Apple store of real estate. I'm serious, dude. Like that just came to
I'll
me.
take
Like,
that. That's a compliment.
dude, that's a huge compliment because you walk in and it is a completely different vibe. So congratulations to you on that, my brother.
Yeah,
That's
appreciate
awesome.
it.
Yeah.
And to fast forward today, just to finish that, the last part of your first question,
Yeah.
Taylor, we have roughly 200 family members now. We call them family members
Yeah.
that are part of all the companies that we have. So C3 has continued to grow. We still call ourselves the solution, right? C3 Real Estate Solutions, because we're here to serve. It doesn't matter if you walk in and you have damage credit, no credit, you can't qualify to buy, man, you know what? We're going to find a rooftop for you. But on top of that, we do now own a mortgage company, title company, and property management company.
Yeah.
Within C3, we also have a commercial division, farm and ranch division, new construction, and a luxury division. So we're pretty much the one-stop shop now, and it's been a fun journey. I mean, and again, to put it into perspective, 10 years into it, right?
Yeah.
And those other companies you mentioned, there's three of them that have longer than 45 years under the same ownership. Right.
Yeah.
So it is humbling to see the caliber of the person that we have here. I can't just say realtor, but the managers, the staff members, the additional employees, the lenders, the property managers, and title reps.
Yeah.
The caliber is much greater because our standards are much higher. So yeah, thanks for that acknowledgement.
No, I'm glad you brought that up. And so not to dive too much into the weeds, but like when you guys entered, what market share did you have? And like what market share do you have now? And if you're able to and willing to share that information.
Yeah, and I have all the numbers since we first started the
you
company because again, we were top producers at our previous company. And when you start something right now, you're distracted, so you're selling less because now you're starting to lead, right? So you're investing so much time into creating the logo and all the legal paperwork, the operations manuals, employee handbooks. So our time was divided. So naturally, our production decreased as we pursued this journey in leadership. Starting our own brokerage. So the production was only Jesse, myself, and we had three other licenses that came with us from the previous company. Right. So we could say it was 1% of the market share. We have thousands and thousands of realtors in over 1,000 companies, right? These are independent companies, even larger companies, and those companies that have been here for longer than 45 years. So, our market share right now, we lead the way when it comes to luxury. Home sales over $1 million. We lead the way when it comes to how many acres sold. So the farm and ranch division has taken off. New construction, we have over 14 builders that we represent. And on the residential side of things, we're always flip-flopping with first, second, or third, depends on the month or the quarter with our market share. There's incredible companies here in Northern Colorado, but frequently see that we are number one with lowest days on market, number one with average list of sales price, number one for highest average sales price per realtor. Like those are huge accomplishments considering you have all the international brands here as well, right? Because we're local, we're not a franchise, we're a self-started, form, molded, built here. So people outside here say, who's C3? But the locals, they don't care. They want to hire the person or the company that offers the best services.
Right.
So when you have the best marketing or the best guarantees for all your clients, that's who these people hire. They're going to say, man, Simmons, I want you. Why? Because you cast the largest net around the world. You're the one that's going to sell my property for the highest and best, right? Yeah. You can't go with somebody that has mediocre marketing or even less than that, So the marketing that we put forward for all of our clients, the services and the guarantees, that has spread like wildfire. And now we're pretty much a referral-only company where everybody says, oh my gosh, you got to hire that agent at C3, or it's usually a realtor here at C3.
Yeah, that's awesome, brother. So obviously the proof is in the pudding and the numbers are showing your results. And I know this is a broad question, so you can narrow it down as you see fit, but like, how'd you do it?
I would say courage, number one, right? Because
Yeah.
I left the corporate world to get my license to join our previous company.
Right.
From there, we were tripping over deals. I mean, we could say we were tripping over money, right? Because we were just so good and there was a brand reputation. Everybody's calling us. And why am I going to disrupt that to start my own thing? Right?
Yeah.
Our passion was in serving others. You know, I love to coach and teach, train, develop, empower,
Right.
provide. We have 200 people here that are banking. They're relying on the fact that they're providing for their family
Right.
because of us.
Yeah.
Right. Which I do every once in a while slip into my PTSD. I do wish that I was still serving in the military. Right. However, this keeps me straight. This keeps me alive in many ways. Right. I wake up in the morning and I put on my boots. And why is that? So that I could come serve these people, so they could serve their clients, so they could serve their families, right? So courage, grit, determination, passion to help others. I mean, I could go on and on. Why we started C3? Anybody that says I'm working, you know, they're not doing it for the money. They're lying. We all have to make a certain level of income to support our family, our needs, right? We do it for, you take care of the people, you're passionate about what you do, the money's going to follow. Right. Like my dad used to always tell me, find something you enjoy doing and then find a way to get paid for it.
Yeah, that's right.
I wholeheartedly love serving people at any capacity. You know, if something I say today inspires somebody, I'm excited. That made a little bit of a difference. Right. So I'm here to serve my realtors, my employees, my buyers, my sellers. Like, man, I wake up in the morning and I just try to love on as many people as I can. And that's about it. And I go home and sleep. I love my wife and kids. And then I go to sleep. And then I come back the next day and I do it again.
Bro, I think you're doing it right, man. And I give you a lot of kudos and a lot of props. And so I want to shift gears a little bit in regards to that. But before I do that, I want to say, like, anybody watching this podcast cannot tell you have any passion regarding real estate.
Love it.
If you know a more passionate realtor than John Simmons, I'd like to meet him, because I don't know if that's freaking possible. And you can tell he just gets fired up, and this is who he is naturally. And that's what kind of attracted me to C3 as a company when I was hanging my license and doing real estate, which as you guys know, I'm a public insurance adjuster and I do, commercial property claims. But there's something about that, John, that I want to pay you a lot of respect and honor, because that brings people in, brother. And I know that's part of your success, and that's a big part of it. So congratulations on that.
I don't know how much time I have, but let me give you 2 reasons where that passion came from. Because a lot of times people ask, like, man, why do you love doing what you do? Because it does have the stresses, and there are high stresses that kicks a lot of people out of this industry, right? But number one, in the military, you learn that there's 3 essentials to survive: food, water, and shelter, right? So we get to provide that. Everybody needs a home. Everybody needs a place to sleep, right? Without that, you die. Number 2, coming from poverty, if you will, low income, humble beginnings. Like, I was born in a 17-foot travel trailer. I remember when we moved into a single wide trailer, and I remember when we moved into a double wide trailer. And when we did that, we thought we made it, because we had a 5-piece master bath. Like, it was a big house, for us. But my parents never owned a place, right? We were renting these homes. Right. So later, because of my hard work, grit, I was able to help my parents finance their first property. So I didn't buy it cash. I just had, 5% down. I helped my parents buy their first property. And when I called my mom, and this is when I was starting to invest into real estate before I became a realtor.
Yeah.
And I called my mom and said, Mom, how do you feel? And my mom just starts crying. She just busted out in tears over the phone. And she says, I'm standing in my own living room.
That's awesome.
Right. And she couldn't believe it. Right. She could paint the walls whatever color she wanted. Like, it was her house. She could do whatever she wanted. So when I was able to sense the feeling that a buyer has when they purchase a property, and that was through my parents, man alive, well, who wouldn't want to be a part of that? Right. So I love real estate and love helping people, buddy. So thank you.
I do. Yeah, man. I know you do. And it's very evident. So I totally respect that. So now switching over to, like, what in business specifically, what has been your biggest victory that you love sharing? Like, hey, this is, like when contractors are, like, even I drive past a commercial property, I'm like, oh, I adjusted that. I got that property owner $1 million and they were only being offered $10,000, whatever it might be. But, what's one of those things like you're always proud of?
Yeah, I appreciate you sending me the, hey, we want to talk about some victories and some maybe challenges, successes.
Right.
it made me really think and go down memory lane as far as the career paths that I've been on, trying to think like, man, what's my biggest victory? I fell back on the military still. And then you start thinking about the medals, the awards, meritorious achievements, stuff for valor. None of that came to mind, right? Like it kind of pops in there, but
Yeah.
what came out of my mouth or in my head was simply the fact that I didn't lose one soldier in any friendly or real world operation. So I would say that's my greatest victory in business, especially as a non-commissioned officer in a special, in a, I would say special operations unit.
Yeah.
That was my number one victory. Number two, when I got out, I had to find a new purpose. I kind of lost my sense of purpose, right? I was this warrior, this hero, climbing the ladder, ranking quickly in magazines. I was on TV as this, hero, and you lose that when you get out, right? And it was all because of an injury. So I had to shift gears quickly and transition into something else. So it was either going to be law enforcement or hospitality, hotels or restaurants. And I've always been a chef. I love to cook. I came to Fort Collins, started applying to a lot of local restaurants, and I became an executive chef. There, I climbed the corporate ladder really, really quick, right? So by the time I left, I was now a regional director overseeing over 30 restaurants. Every restaurant had 100 employees in it. So it was a super high level of supervision. However, what happened there is it messed up my life priorities, which for me is faith, family, fun, work, right? Friends, everything else falls under that. It was upside down. It was all work, man. I woke up early, went to work. I went to bed thinking work. Everything was work, 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 ignoring family. Wasn't able to have kids, right? Because I was traveling everywhere and can't have kids if you're out of state. It just doesn't work, right? But there was successes along the way there.
Yeah.
Adapting to the civilian style of leadership through audio books, through just reading any book I could put my hands on self-development or effective leadership. That molded me, right? Because in the military, you rule with an iron fist. Like Taylor Grant, I tell you what to do, you do it. You do not question me. I tell you to shoot, you shoot. I tell you to fight, you fight, right? Like you question me, it's insubordination, it's disrespect. I'm writing you in Article 15, demoting you in rank and giving you corrective training. Well, in the civilian world, right, you try that, it just doesn't work, right?
Totally different story.
I'm like, hey, you didn't shave, go home, shave, come back, right? Don't be late. And I was just very militant in the civilian side of things as a leader for a local restaurant.
Yeah.
And thankfully, those mistakes and having high turnover and having leaders who cared about me, they taught me this thing called the velvet glove, right? Like I have to be sympathetic, I have to be caring, I have to smile more. And so I would just immerse myself in books on leadership. And I love to read and I love to listen, and I'm a student of business even today.
Yeah.
Right. So the fact that through self-development, reading and listening, in addition to having human resources, right, because I was always getting into trouble, saying the wrong things, people have molded me into the person who I am today. So all of us should have the ability to adapt. All of us should have the ability to grow and to change. Like, how do we become more effective, as a leader? And though I always say that, man, in the military, that was one job. You have one job to do, and that's just to destroy the enemy, right? And there is no life. Everybody dies. The question's when. My buddy's going to die right here. My buddy's going to die right here. And what's going to happen? I'm going to keep moving forward. Right. So tapping into my emotions, man, that was really, really hard. Like you lose your sense of purpose, number one. Number two, I'm like, I don't care if my wife dies, kids die, parents die, everybody's going to die. Like you're so calloused. And with time, man, you have to embrace the emotions. And dude, Taylor, now I watch a Disney movie and I cry. So it's just, I don't know what's happened to me, man. Wife, kids, I've suffered a lot. But another victory is just, if without the restaurant, without the military, I wouldn't be here in Colorado. I wouldn't be married to my wife. I wouldn't have the 2 kids. I wouldn't have my partnership with Jesse. C3 wouldn't exist. You wouldn't know me. We wouldn't be on this podcast. Like, it's really weird, the trajectory of what happened. So when shit hits the fan and your dream is destroyed, having the ability to get up and move on, man, that's so important. So that's probably the most I've ever spoken on victories, because I could write books on failures.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
failures, buddy. So
it's so interesting because I think as entrepreneurs, and especially hard chargers like you and I, that we're high achievers and we know what we want, we focus, we're disciplined, we tend to look at our failures more. right? We just tend to do that. And also I think failure is the ultimate teacher compared to successes, you know. However, I'm glad that you're able to celebrate some of those successes and actually really realize what you've been able to bring to other people's lives and the marketplace, right? Dude, you've created a lot of things, and I'm actually learning some things that I didn't even know about you, right? Which is crazy and awesome. But I know you were at Carino's for a long time and in the restaurant industry, which is so cool. And you brought some people into the fold in the real estate industry from that restaurant industry. And that's freaking awesome, dude. So
Yeah,
now that
thanks.
we've talked about some of the biggest victories, and actually, before we move there, I also want to say thank you for your vulnerability and your sacrifice and your service for us as a country. And the freedom that we have wouldn't exist without people like you. So I appreciate that, brother.
Thanks, buddy. That was
Yeah,
an honor.
100%. So then, like, you know, again, what we just talked about is it's great to talk about the victories and also sometimes like some of the failures too, because those are the learning opportunities that present themselves to us to force us to grow into the next best version of ourselves. Like, dude, give me one or two things that are on the top of your mind. I know you're already thinking about it because I can see that big smile. So, like,
Yeah.
what shows up for you when I say that?
Man, I mean, I have all kinds of thoughts coming from that question, right? It's like I mean, you can dial it in. Do you want failures as a husband? I'll give them to you. Do you want failures as a father? I'll give them to you. You want failures as a businessman? Like I'm an open book, man.
Yeah,
I think all of us could get better in all of our priorities. I can give you. We were talking about failures in fitness. I just haven't been able to make it to the gym, right? I'm not taking care of my health. Therefore, I'm out of balance. So I need to kind of counterbalance. I need to tweak
right,
some things, reprioritize, time block, take care of myself. If health is, should be one of our top few priorities, then it's up to me to do something about that, right?
right,
Uh, in business, we've had, man, a lot of failures, man. Like you hire the wrong technologies, the wrong marketing, you hire the wrong people, they become toxic. You hear phrases, hire slow, fire fast. Well, we would hire fast and fire slow. And it always backfires, right? So it's like,
right,
listen to the leaders that are out there. Listen to those who have already paved the path.
right,
Right. Be willing to share, be vulnerable. I think anybody in any leadership capacity has to have thicker skin. I oftentimes remind my managers leaders don't sail the calm waters, right? The majority of people aren't bred to be, nor are they passionate to be a leader. They don't want it because you're dealing with the shit storms of life, right? Can I say that on your podcast, buddy?
yeah, absolutely,
A leader is somebody who's completely different, right? Who's calloused, who's good with conflict resolution skills, whether it be with people or internally. It's not for everybody.
right,
So I don't know, man. I fail every time. Let me pull something out because it came to mind as you were talking.
yeah, go ahead.
That I relate to when I first got into this industry and they didn't hire me. I was like, why not? I'm the next Michael Jordan. Uh, and they're like, oh, who's this egoistic kid? I just knew I was going to be good because number one, I was passionate to get into this industry.
Yeah,
I also knew nobody was going to outwork me. The
right,
grit that was built into me while I was in the military, like I'm going to just muscle my way, to the top or to whatever my goals are. But what came to mind was Michael Jordan. Let me pull it up real quick. It says, I have missed more than 9,000 shots. Some of you guys might have heard of this before in my career. It says I have lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over again in life, and that is why I succeed. Right?
right,
Like, dude, I relate to that.
yeah,
I'm like, man, you're gonna make financial mistakes. You're gonna make mistakes as a husband, as a father. Do something about it. I popped the top with my son the other day. My oldest, he's a teenager, so I'm dealing with that right now.
that's fun.
And I just snapped at him to the point where he turned around and walked off, man.
Yeah,
And I think it takes a courageous father to walk into the room and say, hey, I messed up.
yeah,
Like, buddy, I'm sorry. Dude, I'm gonna tear up. You see what I mean? I freaking cry like a baby now, dude. Because it just hurt, and I'm like,
yeah,
man, why did I do that? So when
yes,
I veer off track, let's say it's with my faith, I got to get back on.
right,
When I veer off track as a spouse, I got to get back on, right? As a father, boom. And I'm embracing the fact that nobody will ever achieve balance. All of us could embrace the fact that we are balancing, right? Like,
yeah,
okay,
100%,
right here, well, I need to do something about it, right?
yeah,
This is an area of opportunity. I need to do something about it. And we got to continue to flow because I think if we were balanced quickly, we would fall into a rut. If every day
right,
was Groundhog Day, dude, that's not fun, man. So we need to embrace the fact that life's a challenge
Yeah.
in all areas, right? And we need to counterbalance when something's out of whack. You've heard me before because I know you say the F word a lot, so do I. But my F words are faith, family, friends, fitness, financing, and fun. I've also thrown in there freedom, flag, firearms, right? Like I have all football, I have all those other F's as well. But
Right.
faith, family, friends, fitness, financing, and fun. And when something's out of whack, I'm going to do something about it. I don't know if you want more detailed examples as far as failures, but
No, man, that's really good. And it's not just the failures itself, right? It's what have you learned from it, right? And so for me, like, I really appreciate you just being honest. A
yeah,
lot of
thanks, man.
people are really guarded and like, well, I'll talk about this failure, but not that one. But just like you talking about fatherhood and really having that connection with your son and being the bigger man, being the man to be able to step in and say, hey, son, I'm really sorry. I messed up. That's on me. Let's hit the reset button and move forward. Right.
That's right.
And I think that's a big deal. I remember reading an article when I was younger, probably at late teens, early 20s, that boys specifically with their fathers felt rebuked or avoided because the father made a mistake and couldn't apologize. And it's like, okay, so are you just going to sit there for days, weeks, months, years and let that go by? Or are you just going to say, hey, I messed up. My bad. I'm not perfect. And now you know it.
That's right.
And
That's
let's move
right.
on, right? So, dude,
Dude, live and learn, man. You get knocked down, get right back up again, but
yeah.
become a better person.
Right. And so I love that what you said about Michael Jordan because dude, it's so true. And it's one of the things that I've instilled in my children. Two things that I love bringing up is my son will always say, Dad, I'll miss 100% of the shots I don't take. Wayne Gretzky, right?
That's right.
But I teach him how to start taking the shots, which sometimes can be scary, especially for an 11-year-old kid, right? The other thing that I'll just say like totally randomly, like it has no bearing on what we're doing. And I'll just say this, I go, I get knocked down 7 times, and my son will be like, "I get up 8." Right? And it's
Yeah,
just that, like, it's just something that we have because grit is that variable that if you have it, you can overcome anything. It is
that's right. And
also the variable.
there needs to be greater classes, education within our
Yeah.
systems on grit.
Totally. Yeah, man. And it's also the thing that if you don't have, like the world seems like it's just going to destroy you, and it's not, right? And it's such a mental game. So I appreciate you bringing that up. So switching gears again, my friend, like,
Yeah,
we talk about as you're an entrepreneur, as am I, and our businesses, it's a big part of who we are. And have we created the business or has the business created us, right? But really, like what I think people love about this podcast is like, who are you? If you just took work out of the equation and like what you do for work or business or money, like who is John Simmons behind the work?
and man, behind the scenes, I mean, number one, I would say I'm a husband. And
Yep.
there was a time where I would say I'm an incredible father. And then when my wife and I go to counseling, right, that's what leads people to drift apart, right? Because the team is you and your spouse.
Right.
But where do you spend your time is with my agents, my employees, my kids, everywhere else, right? So even when I get home today, um, obviously my youngest guy, my 6-year-old, just runs out to me, Daddy, and I have to stop him and say, nope, 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 Mama first, and now you hear him sass off and be like, I know because you're the team, right? Because the team is my spouse. So outside of work, dude, I'm spending time with my wife. I need to spend more time with my wife. I'm spending time with my kids, time with my parents, time with my mother-in-law, even if it's just a call, FaceTime with my mother-in-law who lives in Puerto Rico. I love my family. I'm here for them. You can follow me on my personal Facebook page and you'll see that.
I totally
Outside of
do see
that,
that.
man, dude, I love anything sports, anything
Yeah.
athletic. I'm skiing in Vale and Beaver Creek tomorrow and day after
Yeah.
tomorrow. I love the golf. Been fortunate to play with you a few times, buddy, and got
Right.
a lot of memories with you on the golf course. Mountain biking, hiking, trail running, camping, fishing, anything with the ing, dude, I'm there, man. So
Right.
if I get some free time, I'm out there. Now, I don't know if it's age, Taylor, or the fact that I've been hustling for so long, 6 years in the Army, 6 years in the restaurants, and now 18 years in real estate, but I like an occasional, let me just sit down, chill, have a drink in hand and watch the sunset. Like, does that
Yeah.
mean we're getting old? Like the rocking chairs are looking really good right now. Give me a hammock on a beach and let me just lay down. I don't know, man, but I'll chill as often as I can. and I'll do fun stuff with my kids as often as I can.
Bro, get yourself a custom rocking chair.
There you are. Buy one for me, buddy.
Dude, yes.
A custom
No,
rocking chair.
dude, that's so great. And you know, it is interesting watching you with your son and like seeing that growth occur, right? Because how old is Evan?
Evan is 16 right now,
Right.
sophomore in high school.
So, dude, I've seen that then for the last 10 years, right? So since he was 6, and that's a big progression and transition from 6 to 16, right? But one of the things I love seeing you guys do is like you guys ski a lot together, right? And just like having so much fun, and you can just tell like even during the teenage years, right, which can be sometimes difficult, like you can tell he's enjoying the time with you, right? Which is such a big thing. And I think that's a huge part of who we are, you and I specifically. We're fathers outside of our business. And that's a
Right.
big part and a big role that we play in the lives of our children and the examples that we set for them, but also their friends, right? So it's interesting, like when my kids might have somebody stay the night and I'm taking them home, we'll do this thing called the I am statements, or what we call our daily power. And it's like, I am kind, I am grateful, I am enough, I am loved, you know, I am strong, I am powerful. And other kids are like, what's happening right now? And it's just second nature for my kids because I want them to understand who they are and how powerful they are. And the role that we play as fathers makes that big difference in their
That's
life.
right.
Yeah.
100%, buddy. Yeah, I'm glad you've been able to watch my journey. I've been able to watch your journey as a father as well, and it's just been fun to watch.
Dude, same here. So before we go, I want to talk about one of the things and how we kind of worked together in the past is I helped you and your business partner on a commercial claim. I know it's been a few years, right? Do you remember that? And do you remember the experience that you
Oh
guys
man, that
had
was the
fighting with the
Jefferson
insurance
building.
company?
Yeah,
What's that?
downtown Fort. I said that was the Jefferson building that we own, downtown Fort Collins.
Right, right. Yeah. So, dude, I know like you guys were frustrated because of how the insurance company treated you. You want to talk about that and kind of like how we were able to get involved as Bellator and help you guys out?
Dude, Taylor, I can't even give you much of that, right? Because that's not my area of expertise. I could just say I trusted you. I know what you do. I've seen you save people thousands and thousands of dollars, right? And
Right.
I really leaned on you to deal with the details. I don't know the
Mhm.
roofing claim talk. That's not my language, right? So for me,
Right.
hiring a professional could help me out, bail me out of the dilemma, the situation I was in.
Yeah.
That was great. I mean, what I remember is you taking over, and then I don't remember what the dollar amount was, but it was probably $40,000 or something like that that you saved us, which was huge, right? I
Yeah.
mean, I rely on my accountant to give me advice, my attorney, my, our marriage coach, like anybody, like, and I leaned on you. So you have more details as to the
Yeah.
struggles, the situation, the lack of communication from the insurance broker. You just came in and cleaned house and saved us a lot of money. And we appreciate you for that. Like, thank you for that. You
Yeah,
could add more
brother.
details on the story because
Yeah.
I just knew that, man, it sucked going through that claim.
Dude, and I could go in the details. That's the boring part. Nobody cares. But what I want to make sure that everyone understands is when you, just like John said, when you have an issue with a commercial property insurance claim and the insurance company isn't treating you correctly, if it's been like a denial or a diminished payment, that's when John and his business partner hired us as Bellator Claims. We got involved. We took over the claim and ran it to the finish line. One of the things that Jesse had told me was he's like, I'm really happy that I hired you guys because I would have given up like 3 steps
A
ago.
long time ago. You pay it. You don't think about it. Yep. Like agreed. 100%.
Yeah. So no, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for trusting me with that claim and allowing me to help you
Yeah,
guys.
you bet. I mean, I'll say here in front of your audience, Bellator and you, Taylor Grant, man, we highly trust, highly endorse. We'll give you a recommendation referral as often as we can.
Appreciate it, brother. Thank you so much.
You
Anything you
know.
want to say before we go? Final words?
Man, no, it's good to see you online. If
Brother.
anybody ever has a question, concern, I mean, Jesse and I, we're both open books, man. We can dive in deeper into the failures that we've had, deeper into, I don't know, I feel like a counselor these days versus an entrepreneur.
Right.
But we love people so much. If somebody's struggling in their marriage or as a parent, or, hey, we'll share you our stories. Like,
Yeah.
if that's going to help you, we're happy to share. And in business, my passion there is growing more and more just to be able to travel, outside of the United States now and speak to other organizations. I'm not a public speaker, but I will get up there and speak from the heart.
Right.
Right. So that's what people are liking. So there's companies that lack in culture, lack in profitability, right? Revenue, they're lacking in various areas. they say, Simmons, can you come help? Absolutely. So I'm kind of falling. I always said I'm not a public speaker, but I'm kind of falling into it. I just can't say no. So speaking at CSU probably once a quarter, I'm enjoying it for the simple fact that, man, I hope I could change one life, here today. So hopefully somebody got a nugget out of this.
Right.
Thanks.
I'm absolutely certain they did. And so let's go full circle. Before we
Yeah.
started the podcast, we were just talking about some transitions in the industry that you're in and transitions and changes that are happening in your company specifically. And I paid you this compliment off camera, but I want to pay it to you on camera, which is you guys, as John and Jesse and C3 Real Estate Solutions, you guys actually live what you preach. And what I mean by that is if someone leaves your real estate company, okay, how is that handled? I'll let you answer that here in a second. But what I want to say is most companies are like, just cut off, screw you, don't come back, we don't like you, get out. And that is not the experience that I have had myself and outside looking in witnessing. What makes you guys different in that respect? Because I think that's a big part of who you guys truly are.
Man, I'm glad you recognized that, Taylor. I mean, when we left our previous company, they slam that door on you as hard and as fast as they can. They treat you like the enemy. They don't hand out your information to anybody. They view you as a threat. And to us, it was just lenses of scarcity, right? And lenses of negativity.
Yeah.
I went on this journey because of how we were treated as to what's my policy going to be the day that that happens to us, right? I don't own anybody here. I have 200 people here, all with different personalities, dreams, ambitions, needs. Some of them will leave because they feel the grass is greener. Some of them will leave because they're entrepreneurs and they want to start their own company. Some will leave because divorce, right? Death, moving out of state. I will thank them for the day they give me, the week. It doesn't matter if they give me a year of their life, 5 years of their life, 10 years of their life, their whole life. I will thank them for the time that they gave to us. However, I'll give accolades to this gentleman in Denver. His name's Scott Norby. I didn't call you Scott to ask for permission, so sorry, sue me later. But I asked this gentleman from Santa Cruz, California, what his policy was. He had over 1,000 realtors there, a very successful gentleman. And I asked him, what's your policy when somebody leaves, when somebody says, I'm out of here? And he says, I won't verbalize it, but he says, if they say F me, I say F them. So he had that same mentality. I'm like, I just didn't like it. So I go to the next person and ask them, what's your policy? Well, I called Scott Norby. He was owner of Innovative down in Denver, later Innovative by Berkshire. And I asked him, hey, what's your policy when somebody leaves? And he says, Simmons, I learned early on when I started my company that I'm going to love them out the door because there's a chance that they might come back and they might come back with the greater team, right? There's no need to burn a bridge. So that has been in our operating agreement for our agents since day one. If you choose to leave, if you lose heart, if you don't see eye to eye with John, Jesse, C3, the leadership, our concept, our C's, our values, let me know, man. Ring the bell. And we'll send you wherever you want to go, and we will love you out the door. Yeah. Because we have 7 companies that have been formed outside of C3. They left us, basically took our stuff, paperwork, marketing materials, everything. We trained them. Then they went out and they opened up their own thing. You could call any one of those people, and I'll give you the names. Off of the. I need to ask them for permission, right? Yeah. So you can call them, and they will all tell you that we love them out the door. I currently have 2 incredible gentlemen. One that worked with me in the restaurant industry for a long time. We have 20 years history. But they love what Jesse and I loved, which was, I'm an entrepreneur. Let me start my own thing. Yeah. So even against what we coach, which it's very hard to start a real estate company, right? Especially in this ultra competitive market, their heart still says, I need to do this. I'm loving them out the door right now. One has already left. They've already formed their company. The other one's going to close out a few deals, join him. There's probably 4 to 5 more realtors that will follow them. I mean, I'll say this on Zoom, right? That's okay. Life goes on. An inlet and an outlet in any company is healthy, right? That's a lake. You have a river, right, that flows in and flows out. Therefore, you have life. Right. A pond is stagnant. It's muddy. It's death. There's no life, right? There might be some critters in there, but there's no life in a pond. Right? So I tell business owners, you need to have an inlet and outlet. Though I want to own every person here, I get butthurt, emotional. I get into an emotional wreck when I lose somebody because I care about them so much. I don't own them, and it's healthy. They're out. It opens the door for somebody else to come in. When somebody comes in, there's new ideas, there's new energy. It's exciting, right? So I'm loving a group of people out the door right now, which is hard as a business owner when you've spent so much time and energy developing them.
Right.
But I would encourage other people, when somebody leaves you, love them out the door. I mean, hear that loud and clear, right? Keep the relationship. Don't sever the relationship over money ever.
Yeah, man. And
So
you
thank
guys
you.
truly live that. And I love that about how you operate your business. And just like you said, these people come in, they get all the structure and the foundational information, the marketing stuff, and they start their own deal. And a lot of people would be super pissed about it. And you guys aren't. And I've witnessed that. So I commend you for that.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah, for sure. So, hey, thank you for joining us today. The Denial of the Day podcast. It is so much more than just the denials that insurance companies have excuses to let you down. Don't let them do that. Hire us, Bellator Claims. John Simmons, thank you so much for being here, brother. I trust you. I respect you. I love you. Thank you so much.
Back at you, Taylor. Take care, everybody.
Thanks,
See you,
brother.
buddy.